Welcome to Hearths of Myths. Today, the horizon turns white, and the sound of the ocean grows still. We are walking the complete path of the white god, Heimdall. The world did not begin with a whisper, but with a tension. A cold, vibrating stillness that held the potential for everything that was to come. At the very edge of this existence, where the roaring tides of the great ocean crash against the frozen silence of Ginnungagap, there lies a threshold. It is a place of salt and shadow, a place where the gray mists of the north merge with the black ink of the void. Here, the air does not just move, it breathes with the weight of uncreated ages. The scent is one of iron, ancient brine, and the sharp, metallic tang of the first frost. In this desolate and beautiful expanse, far from the golden warmth of the halls that would one day rise in Asgard, a god was born. He was not born of a single union, nor of a single womb. He was the result of the world's edges coming together. He was Heimdall. To speak of Heimdall's beginning is to speak of the sea itself, not the tamed waters of a summer bay, but the wild, predatory ocean of the ancient Norse mind. It is in the fragments of the Himinbjörg, a poem of deep genealogies and hidden secrets, that we find the staggering truth of his parentage. He was born of 9 mothers. These 9 were not merely sisters. They were the personifications of the waves, the daughters of Aegir, the giant of the deep, and Ran, the goddess who pulls the drowned into her coral halls. Imagine the ocean as a living, breathing entity, and these 9 daughters as the varying moods of its power. Their names are a litany of water's many faces, Yelp and Grape, those who howl and grasp, Eistla and Eirgjafa, the foam-lashed and the sand-giver, Ulfrun and Angeja, the wolf-tempered and the sorrow-bringer, Imdur, Atla, and Jarnsaxa, the iron-willed. Think of the significance of this elemental union. To be born of the waves is to be born of the world's oldest memory. The water was there before the gods, and it will be there after the final fire has consumed the stars. By having 9 mothers, Heimdall was not just birthed. He was forged by the collective rhythm of the tides. Each mother brought a different gift, a different facet of the boundary. One gave him the strength of the crushing depths. Another gave him the clarity of the sunlight hitting the spray. A third gave him the relentless persistence of the tide that grinds mountains into pebbles. He was nourished not by milk, but by the strength of the earth, the moisture of the sea, and the warmth of sacrificial blood. This was a nourishment of the spirit as much as the body. He was drinking in the very essence of the 3 realms, the terrestrial, the aquatic, and the divine. In the prose Edda, Snorri Sturluson describes him as the White God. This title carries a weight that transcends simple aesthetics. In the darkness of the high north, where the sun disappears for months, and the world is swallowed by the blue-black gloom of winter, whiteness is more than a color. It is a presence. It is the color of the first light that cracks the horizon. It is the color of the glacier that stands immovable against the storm. Heimdall is the brilliance of the dawn, a god of such purity and intensity that he seems to glow from within. He is the consciousness that never fades, the awareness that remains sharp even when the rest of the cosmos has fallen into the heavy slumber of matter. He is called Gulltoppr, the one with the golden teeth. To the modern ear, this might sound like a strange, perhaps even grotesque detail. But to the ancient skalds, Gold was the physical manifestation of the sun. To have golden teeth was to speak with the authority of the light. Every word he uttered was a flash of fire, a testament to his solar nature. He is the guardian of the sun's reflection upon the water, the one who stands between the day and the night. The 9 mothers did not raise their son in the comforts of a palace. They raised him at the world's root, where the cold of the abyss meets the heat of the subterranean fires. He grew rapidly, his senses sharpening with every pulse of the ocean. The myths tell us that he required no sleep, for he was the very essence of alertness. While the other gods, the Aesir, were busy shaping the world, building their fortresses, and wrestling with their own intricate desires, Heimdall simply stood. He became the living manifestation of the sentinel spirit. He is the Vorder, the warden who stands at the gate of reality. His eyes were not turned inward toward the ego or the ambition of kings. They were turned outward, toward the encroaching shadows. He was created for a single, devastatingly important purpose: to be the first to know when the end begins. Consider the solitude of such an existence. To be the watcher is to be eternally apart. He cannot join the raucous feasts of Valhalla without leaving his post. He cannot lose himself in the arms of a lover without risking the safety of the 9 worlds. His divinity is a sacrifice of presence. He is the silence between the thunderclaps, the space between the words of a spell. He is here, so that the others may be safe there. This sense of duty is not a burden to him. It is his nature. He is as much a part of the boundary as the stones and the spray. When we look at the horizon, the line where the sea meets the sky, we are looking at the physical manifestation of Heimdall. He is that line. He is the clarity that allows us to distinguish between the self and the other, between the sanctuary and the wilderness. His connection to the earth is as profound as his connection to the sea. The ancient texts say he was strengthened by the moisture of the sea and the strength of the earth. This implies a grounding that many of the other Aesir lack. Odin is a god of the spirit and the wind, a wanderer who disappears into the mist. Thor is a god of the storm, a violent force of nature that crashes through the forest. But Heimdall is the mountain. He is the rock upon which the waves break. He is the anchor that prevents the world from drifting back into the chaos of Ginnungagap. His white skin and golden teeth are the symbols of a refined power, a power that has been distilled from the raw elements and turned into a focused, unyielding beam of consciousness. When Heimdall eventually ascended from the shores of his mothers to the high seats of Asgard, the gods looked upon him with a mixture of reverence and unease. They recognized in him something that was older than their own reign. He carried the weight of the deep ocean in his stride and the clarity of the stars in his eyes. Odin, the All-Father, who gave an eye to the well of Mimir to see the hidden patterns of the Norns, saw in Heimdall a different kind of vision. Odin's wisdom is a hard-won prize, a secret snatched from the jaws of death. Heimdall's wisdom is innate. He does not need to hang from a tree or drink from a magic well to know the truth. He simply hears it. He hears the wool growing on the backs of sheep 400 miles away. He hears the grass pushing its way through the soil in the valleys of Midgard. He hears the breathing of every creature in the 9 realms. To be Heimdall is to be overwhelmed by the noise of existence, and yet to remain perfectly, terrifyingly still. This sensitivity is not just a gift, it is a weapon. In the ancient world, to hear someone coming was to survive. Heimdall is the ultimate survival instinct of the gods. He is the filter through which the chaotic noise of the universe is translated into the ordered signals of Asgard. He sits in his hall, Himinbjörg, the sky mountain, and he watches. The hall itself is situated at the highest point of the celestial vault, right where the rainbow bridge, Bifrost, touches the heavens. But before the bridge was built, before the gods had established their dominion, Heimdall was already there. He was the sentinel of the void, the first light in the darkness. The 9 mothers, the wave daughters, are a recurring motif that we must explore further. In Norse thought, the number 9 represents completion, the total cycle of the universe. To have 9 mothers is to be a child of the whole world. He is the son of the entire ocean, the product of every possible tide and current. This gives him a universality that other gods lack. He is not just a god of the Aesir, he is a god of the elements. He is the bridge between the giants, from whom his mothers descended, and the gods whom he serves. He is the peace weaver of the boundaries. His presence at the gate is not just to keep the giants out, but to maintain the balance between the opposing forces of the cosmos. Without the sentinel, the fire would consume the ice too quickly, or the ice would extinguish the fire. Heimdall is the regulator of the cosmic heat. As we dwell in this first chapter of his existence, let us imagine the atmosphere of his early vigil. The world is young, the mountains are still sharp, and the forests are deep and nameless. Heimdall stands at the edge of the sky, his white cloak blending with the clouds, his golden teeth catching the first rays of the dawn. The silence is profound, broken only by the distant rhythmic thrumming of the sea, the heartbeat of his mothers. He does not feel the cold, for he is the cold's master. He does not feel the loneliness, for he is the loneliness's purpose. He is the watcher at the window of the world, and his eyes are fixed on the horizon, waiting for the first sign of the shadow that he knows, with absolute certainty, will one day come. The myths tell us that Heimdall's birth was a direct response to the vulnerability of the gods. The Aesir, for all their power, are not immortal in the way we might think. They are susceptible to time, to betrayal, and to the slow erosion of their order. Heimdall was created to be the antidote to that vulnerability. He is the guarantee that the gods will never be taken by surprise. He is the insurance policy of the divine realm. Every time we feel a sudden, inexplicable sense of alertness, a feeling that someone is watching over us, we are touching the edge of Heimdall's influence. He is the collective awareness of humanity, the part of us that stays awake when the rest of us is dreaming. In the Völuspá, the most famous of the Poetic Edda's poems, the prophetess begins her address by calling for the attention of all the holy kindreds, the greater and the lesser sons of Heimdall. This single line changes everything. It suggests that Heimdall is not just a guardian of the gods, but a father to humanity. We are his children. We are the lesser sons who carry a spark of his alertness and his light. This connection between the celestial watcher and the common man is a thread that runs through the entire Norse tradition. He is the god who walked among us, who shaped our society, and who gave us the tools to survive in a world filled with giants. But that is a story for a later hour. For now, we must stay here, at the beginning, in the spray and the salt, with the 9 mothers and their brilliant golden-toothed son, The light of the north is a fickle thing. It dances, it fades, and it hides behind the curtains of the aurora. But Heimdall is the constant light. He is the star that does not move. In the ancient navigation of the soul, he is the North Star. He is the point of reference by which all other things are measured. When the skalds sang of him, they sang of the holly, the stone, the immovable object. He is the one who stands his ground when the world is shaking. He is the god of the firmament, the one who holds the sky in place so that it does not collapse upon the earth. His strength is not the explosive strength of Thor, but the structural strength of the pillar. He is the support beam of the universe. As we prepare to move from the mystery of his birth to the specifics of his vigil, remember the sound of the 9 waves. They are still there, at the edge of your mind, the rhythmic washing of the tide against the shore of your consciousness. They are the voices of the mothers, reminding their son of his origin. They are the reminder that even the most high and holy gods are rooted in the primal elements. Heimdall is the bridge between the high heaven and the deep sea. He is the white foam on the dark water, the brilliant spark in the black void. He is the sentinel, the watcher, and the father, and his eyes are open. The atmospheric pressure of the world's edge is something that can be felt in the marrow of the bone. It is a weight, a gravity that pulls at the spirit. To stand where Heimdall was born is to stand at the point of maximum tension. It is the place where the creative and destructive forces of the universe are in perfect, terrifying equilibrium. Heimdall is the product of that equilibrium. He is the peace that comes from absolute readiness. He does not need to be angry to be effective. He does not need to be loud to be heard. He simply is. His presence is the warning. His existence is the defense. When the first rays of the sun touch the golden teeth of the watcher, the world is hallowed. The light is reflected and amplified, sent back into the darkness as a signal of hope. This is the ritual of the dawn. It is the daily reenactment of Heimdall's birth. The sun rises from the sea, just as the god rose from the waves. The light breaks the hold of the night, just as the sentinel breaks the hold of the shadow. We are witnesses to this mystery every morning, though we often forget the god who stands at the center of it. We forget the watcher at the sky mountain, the one who drinks the celestial mead and listens to the grass grow. But the silence is starting to change. The rhythmic thrumming of the sea is being joined by a new sound. It is the sound of footsteps on the Rainbow Bridge. It is the sound of a world becoming crowded, a world becoming dangerous. The Aesir are moving, and the giants are stirring in the north. The time of the silent vigil is coming to an end, and the time of the guardian is beginning. Heimdall reaches for his horn. He prepares his hall. He adjusts his gaze. The 9 mothers have done their work. The son of the waves is now the warden of the gods, and the first shadows are beginning to stretch across the plains of Asgard. Let the image of the white god settle in your heart. See the gold of his teeth, the brilliance of his skin, and the depth of his eyes. Feel the salt on your lips and the cold wind in your hair. You are standing with him at the edge of the world. You are looking out into the mist, searching for the first sign of the enemy. You are the lesser sons of Heimdall, and you are part of the watch. The world is fragile, a small island of order in a vast ocean of chaos. But the sentinel is awake, the guardian is ready, and the dawn is coming. In the ancient Norse mind, the concept of light was inextricably linked to the concept of life. To be in the light was to be alive, to be conscious, and to be safe. Heimdall, as the white god, is the source of that safety. He is the light that does not burn, the light that reveals the truth without destroying it. He is the god of the quiet mind, the god of the focused attention. In the frantic noise of our modern world, his energy is a balm. He reminds us to be still, to listen, and to watch. He reminds us that the most powerful force in the universe is not the hammer that breaks the mountain, but the consciousness that sees the mountain clearly. The 9 mothers continue to sing. Their song is the sound of the tides, the sound of the cycles that govern our lives. They sing of the birth, they sing of the vigil, and they sing of the end. But for now, we remain in the birth. We remain in the spray and the light. We remain with Heimdall, the child of the 9 waves, the brilliant sentinel of the dawn. The journey ahead is long and filled with wonders and terrors. We will see him walk among men. We will see him duel with the trickster, and we will see him blow the horn that ends the world. But all of that begins here, at the edge of the sea, where a god was born of the water and the light. The air is growing colder now. The mist is thickening. The 9 waves are rising higher, their white crests gleaming in the twilight. Heimdall stands firm, his feet planted in the salt and the sand, his eyes fixed on the horizon. He is the immovable object. He is the eternal watcher, and his watch is only just beginning. The silence of the world's edge is his home, and the light of the dawn is his spirit. We are his children, and we are safe under his gaze. The white god is awake, and the night is held at bay. As we leave the churning gray waters of the world's edge, we must ascend. We must travel from the spray and the salt of the 9 mothers to the highest reaches of the celestial vault. Imagine a place where the air is so thin and pure that it feels like breathing liquid crystal. The sky here is not the distant blue we see from the ground, but a deep, resonant violet, vibrating with the energy of the cosmos. At this supreme height, where the atmosphere of the earthly world begins to dissolve into the divine ether, stands a fortress of impossible beauty and purpose. This is Himinbjörg, the Sky Mountain. It is not merely a palace of stone and gold. It is the ultimate vantage point. It is the watchtower of the gods, situated at the very point where the rainbow bridge, Bifrost, touches the gates of Asgard. To understand the white god, we must understand his dwelling. Himinbjörg is described in the Grimnismal as a place where Heimdall, in his quiet hall, drinks the fine mead with the joy of a god who knows his purpose is absolute. But do not envision a rowdy banquet hall filled with the shouting of warriors. Himinbjörg is a place of profound, crystalline silence. It is an observatory. The walls are thin and translucent, allowing the light of the stars to permeate every corner. The floors are polished, like the surface of a frozen lake, reflecting the movement of the clouds below. It is here that Heimdall sits, not on a throne of conquest, but on a seat of observation. He is the cosmic surveyor, the one who measures the pulse of the 9 worlds from the quietude of his mountain home. But the fortress is secondary to the god who inhabits it. We must now speak of the senses that make Heimdall the most terrifyingly aware being in all of Norse mythology. The prose Edda provides us with details that challenge our understanding of biological limits. It is said that Heimdall requires less sleep than a bird. Consider the weight of that statement. In a world where even the mighty Odin must close his eye and Thor must rest his hammer, Heimdall is eternally awake. He is the god of the midnight sun and the eternal dawn. His consciousness is a continuous, unbroken line that stretches across the ages. He does not dream, for dreaming is an inward turn, a retreat from the world. Heimdall cannot afford to retreat. His awareness is a permanent outward expansion, a net cast over the entire cosmos to catch the slightest ripple of danger. His vision is equally staggering. The texts tell us that he can see for 100 leagues, both by day and by night. 100 leagues, roughly 300 miles, is a distance that defies the curve of the earth and the thickness of the mist. But it is not just the distance that matters, it is the clarity. To Heimdall, the darkness of the night is as transparent as the height of noon. He sees the shadow moving in the deepest canyon of Jotunheim. He sees the glint of a giant's axe in the frozen wastes of the north. He sees the flickering of a candle in a peasant's hut in Midgard. His eyes do not just perceive light, they perceive intent. He sees the movement of the soul before the body even begins to act. This is the burden of the sentinel. To see everything is to be unable to look away. He is the witness to every birth, every death, every secret meeting, and every silent prayer in the 9 realms. Yet, as extraordinary as his vision is, it is his hearing that truly separates him from the rest of the Aesir. The Eddas record that he can hear the grass growing in the fields of the earth. Pause and listen to that thought. The sound of a single blade of grass pushing its way through the soil is a sound of microscopic friction, a silent expansion of life. To Heimdall, this is not a metaphor. It is a literal, audible event. He hears the rustle of the roots seeking water. He hears the unfolding of the clover. But he goes further. He hears the wool growing on the backs of sheep. Imagine the sound of thousands upon thousands of fibers stretching, sliding against one another, the soft collective hum of a flock's existence. This level of auditory sensitivity is almost beyond human comprehension. It means that the universe is never, ever quiet for Heimdall. The world is a cacophony of growth, decay, and movement. He hears the breath of the worm in the earth. He hears the heartbeat of the eagle in the sky. He hears the whispering of the Norns as they weave the fate of men at the well of Urd. To be Heimdall is to live in a world of infinite sound. Every vibration in the atmosphere, every ripple in the sea, every footfall on the forest floor is a signal that he must process. He is the ultimate biological processor of the divine realm. He filters the noise of the universe to find the one sound that matters, the sound of an enemy approaching the gate. Amidst the roaring of the oceans and the rustling of the grass, he is listening for the specific, discordant note of chaos. He is listening for the creak of a giant's boot on the ice. He is listening for the soft, slithering sound of the Midgard serpent moving in the depths. This constant bombardment of information is why Heimdall is often portrayed as a figure of immense stoicism. He does not react to the trivialities of the world. He does not join the arguments of the other gods. He sits in Himinbjörg, drinking his mead, his mind a calm lake in the center of a storm of data. His golden teeth, Gulltoppr, are perhaps the only outward sign of the inner fire that sustains him. They are the symbols of his solar brilliance, the light of a mind that is always, forever turned on. He is the white god, because his awareness is a pure, bleached light that leaves no room for shadows. In his presence, secrets dissolve. You cannot hide your thoughts from the man who hears your hair growing. The fortress of Himinbjörg is situated at the head of Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge. We must speak of this bridge, for it is the most vital and fragile artery in the Norse cosmos. Bifrost is not a solid structure of stone or iron. It is a bridge of light, of fire, and of water. It is the shaking path, the trembling way. The prose Edda tells us that it is made of 3 colors and is crafted with great skill and magic. But it is also vulnerable. It is the only path that connects the world of men and the world of the giants to the sanctuary of the gods. And because it is made of light, it can be broken. The red color in the rainbow is the burning fire of the sky, a barrier intended to keep the mountain giants and the frost giants at bay. Heimdall is the guardian of this bridge. He stands at its apex, his feet planted on the shimmering, unstable surface. He is the gatekeeper of the divine threshold. To enter Asgard, one must pass the white god. He is the one who decides who is worthy of the crossing. He sees the heart of the traveler long before they reach the first arc of the bridge. If a giant were to attempt the crossing, the fire of the bridge would consume them. But Heimdall is the one who ensures that the attempt is never even made. He is the deterrence. His mere presence at the end of the bridge is enough to make the boldest giant hesitate. They know that they cannot surprise him. They know that they cannot outrun his gaze. The relationship between the sentinel and the bridge is one of symbiotic tension. The bridge is the symbol of the connection between the realms, and Heimdall is the one who maintains that connection. He is the bridge's consciousness. When the bridge tremors, he feels it in his own bones. When the light of the bridge fades, he is the one who restores it with his solar energy. He is the protector of the Asbridge, the link that allows the gods to descend to the world of men to judge and to help. Without Heimdall, the bridge would be a dangerous, unguarded back door into the heart of the divine fortress. He is the lock, the key, and the door itself. There is a profound loneliness in his vigil at Himinbjörg. While the other gods are off on their adventures, Thor battling giants in the east, Odin wandering the world in his blue cloak, Heimdall remains. He is the one god who cannot leave. His duty is geographical. He is tied to the sky mountain, tied to the bridge. He is the anchor of the divine realm. If he were to leave his post for even a moment, the security of the entire cosmos would be compromised. This makes him the most selfless of the Aesir. He gives up his freedom so that the others may have theirs. He gives up his silence so that the others may sleep. He is the eternal sentry, the man who stands in the cold wind of the high heavens, so that the fires of the hearths below can keep burning. In the poetic fragments of the Völuspá, we are told that Heimdall's horn, the Gjallarhorn, is hidden beneath the sacred tree, Yggdrasil. But we will speak of the horn in a later chapter. For now, we must focus on the man who carries it. Picture him in his hall, Himinbjörg. The air is filled with the scent of the celestial mead, a liquid that carries the wisdom of the stars. He drinks, and the mead clarifies his senses even further. He looks out over the edge of the world. He sees the spinning of the stars, the movement of the planets, the slow grinding rotation of the world mill. He is the timekeeper of the gods. He counts the hours, the days, the years. He knows exactly how much time remains before the end. He hears the ticking of the cosmic clock in every falling leaf and every melting snowflake. His whiteness is often associated with the purity of the high mountains, the untouched snow of the peaks where the air is too thin for corruption. He is the bleached god, the one who has been stripped of all earthly desires and distractions. He is pure function. He is the eye that sees, the ear that hears, the mind that remembers. There is no ego in Heimdall. He does not seek fame. He does not seek gold. He does not seek power. He only seeks the horizon. He is the ultimate servant of the order. He is the wall that does not speak, the shield that does not tire. The ancient Norse people, living in the shadow of the mountains and the threat of the long winter, found great comfort in the image of Heimdall. They knew that someone was watching. They knew that the darkness was not unguarded. When the wind howled through the fjords and the ice groaned in the deep valleys, they would look up at the sky and think of Himinbjörg. They would think of the white god sitting in his quiet hall, his golden teeth gleaming, his ears tuned to the sound of the world. They felt the safety of his watch. He was the god who stayed awake so that they could dream. He was the sentinel of the dawn, the promise that the light would return. We must also consider the physical intensity of his vigil. Standing at the top of the sky is not a passive act. It is an act of supreme physical and spiritual endurance. The winds of the high heavens are fierce and cold. The light of the stars is piercing. The weight of the silence is heavy. Heimdall stands against all of it. He is the immovable object in a world of constant motion. His feet are rooted in the magic of the bridge. His mind is rooted in the wisdom of the waves. He is the physical bridge between the primordial elements of his birth and the celestial order of his duty. In the hall of the Sky Mountain, there are no luxuries. There are no tapestries of soft wool, no cushions of down. The furniture is made of light and bone and ancient wood. Everything is functional. Everything is designed for the watch. Even the mead he drinks is not for pleasure, but for sustenance and clarity. It is the fuel for his eternal consciousness. He is the engine of the divine security system. Every moment of his existence is a focused effort of will. He must choose to stay awake. He must choose to listen. He must choose to see. His divinity is not a state of being. It is an act of will. Imagine the perspective he has from Himinbjörg. He sees the world as a whole, a beautiful, fragile jewel floating in the dark. He sees the connections between all things. He sees how the grass in Midgard is connected to the stars in the heavens. He sees how the breath of the worm is connected to the fate of the gods. He sees the unity of the cosmos. This vision is what gives him his calm. He knows that everything has a place. Everything has a purpose. Even the giants, even the monsters, are part of the pattern. He is the observer of the pattern, the one who ensures that no thread is broken before its time. His hearing, though, must be a source of constant, quiet suffering. To hear the wool growing on a sheep is to hear the relentless, slow-motion struggle of life. To hear the grass is to hear the thirst of the earth. He hears the pain of the world. He hears the cries of the wounded, the sighs of the weary, the whispers of the dying. He hears the heartbeat of every living thing, and he knows when those heartbeats falter. He is the auditor of the universe's life force. This sensitivity makes him the most empathetic of the gods, though he rarely shows it. He feels the world moving in his ears. He carries the sound of existence within him. Yet, he never wavers. He never complains. He is the silent partner of the Aesir. He is the one who makes all their other deeds possible. Thor could not fight if he did not know the enemy was coming. Odin could not seek wisdom if he was constantly worried about the gates. Heimdall is the foundation of their peace. He is the silence that allows their songs to be heard. He is the darkness that allows their fires to be seen. He is the sentinel, and his watch is the heartbeat of Asgard. As the twilight falls over the 9 worlds, and the other gods retire to their halls, Heimdall remains at the summit. The colors of Bifrost deepen, the red fire of the bridge glowing more intensely against the darkening sky. The white god stands at his post, his white cloak fluttering in the cosmic wind, his golden teeth catching the last light of the sun. He looks out over the horizon. He hears the first owls beginning to hunt in the forests of Midgard. He hears the giants beginning to stir in the halls of Utgard. He hears the breathing of the sleepers. He is the guardian of the night, the watcher of the stars, and the keeper of the gate. The silence of Himinbjörg is not a hollow thing. It is a full silence, a silence pregnant with awareness. It is the silence of a predator waiting in the grass, but a predator whose goal is protection, not destruction. Heimdall is the celestial hawk, the eagle of the sky mountain, his senses tuned to the frequency of the universe. He is the living definition of vigilance. As we rest in the safety of our world, let us remember the man on the mountain. Let us remember the God who hears the grass grow and who sees across the dark. He is there, at the end of the bridge, at the top of the sky. He is the white God, and he is watching over us. His watch is ancient, and it is eternal. He has stood at the gate since the beginning, and he will stand there until the end. He is the constant in a world of change, the light in a world of shadow. The sky mountain is his throne, and the 9 realms are his charge. Feel the cold air of the high heavens, hear the humming of the rainbow bridge, and see the brilliant golden-toothed god who stands at the threshold. He is Heimdall, and his vigil is the anchor of the world. The dawn is coming, and he will be the first to see it. The night is long, and he will be the one to guard it. The watch continues, and the sentinel is ready. This level of awareness is what defines the relationship between Heimdall and the rest of the gods. They look to him not just for safety, but for the truth of the moment. If Heimdall is calm, the gods can be calm. If Heimdall reaches for his horn, the universe trembles. He is the barometer of the divine atmosphere. His mood is the weather of Asgard. When he drinks his mead in Himinbjörg, there is peace in the heavens. When he stands at the gate, there is order in the world. He is the quiet strength that holds the cosmos together. Let the image of the sky mountain settle in your mind. See the translucent walls, the frozen floors, and the brilliant god who sits in the center of the silence. Listen to the sound of the grass growing, the sound of the wool stretching, the sound of the world breathing. You are with him in the observatory of the gods. You are seeing the world through his eyes, hearing the universe through his ears. You are part of the vigil. The white god is awake, and the sentinel is at his post. The watch goes on, and the world is safe under his gaze. The celestial silence of Himinbjörg is a divine necessity, but the white god is not a prisoner of his own high seat. There comes a time in the age of the young world when the sentinel must turn his gaze from the horizon of the giants to the fertile, unformed valleys of Midgard. The myths tell us that Heimdall, the son of 9 waves, descended from the shaking bridge of light to walk among the creatures of clay. But he did not descend in his blinding solar glory. He did not come with the golden teeth bared or the white cloak shimmering with the fire of the stars. Instead, he took the form of a traveler, a man of wisdom and age named Rig. He stepped onto the green paths of the earth with the steady, measured stride of one who knows the weight of every grain of sand. This is the saga of the Rigsthula, the Lay of Rig, a profound and ancient poem that establishes Heimdall as the architect of human society and the biological father of the classes of men. Imagine the atmosphere of Midgard in those primordial days. The world was still fresh, the smell of damp earth and crushed pine needles hanging heavy in the cool air. The rivers were wide and silver, and the forests held a darkness that was not yet haunted by the memories of fallen kings. Rig walked along the shore, his boots scuffing the salt-crusted stones, the sound of the ocean, his mother's voice still humming in his ears. He was looking for the spark of potential. He was looking for the way to weave the divine essence of the Aesir into the rough fabric of mortal life. He was not merely a visitor. He was a gardener, preparing to plant the seeds of hierarchy, civilization, and wisdom. His first destination was a humble, weather-beaten hut standing alone on the edge of a desolate field. The door was gray with age, and the thatch was thinning. Inside, he found a couple named Ai and Edda, great-grandfather and great-grandmother. They were the image of survival, their skin like cured leather, their hands gnarled like the roots of an ancient oak. They had little to offer, but the laws of hospitality were already etched into the spirit of the world. They sat Rig at their rough-hewn table and served him a meal that spoke of their poverty. A heavy, coarse loaf of bread, filled with husks and grit. Rig ate the bread without complaint, for he was not there for the flavor, but for the connection. He stayed with them for 3 nights, sleeping in the middle of their bed, the divine presence of the god acting as a catalyst between the 2 mortals. When he left, he carried the dust of their road on his cloak, but he left behind a gift that would manifest 9 months later. Edda gave birth to a son, a boy with dark skin and a heavy frame. They named him Thrall. The description of Thrall in the Rigsthula is visceral and unapologetic. He had wrinkled skin, a crooked back, and long arms. His fingers were thick, and his face was plain. This was the birth of the first class of men, the laborers, the unfree, the ones whose strength would clear the forests and build the foundations of the world. Thrall grew strong, his muscles hardening under the sun. He married a woman named Tyr, the servant, and together they populated the earth with those who work with their backs. They named their children with names like Fjosnir, the cattle boy, Klur, the clumsy, and Drum, the log. These were the people of the soil and the stable, the ones who performed the necessary grueling labor that allows a society to exist. In the eyes of the white god, they were not a mistake. They were the first layer of the human experience. They represented the raw, physical struggle of survival. Heimdall, as Rig, had given them the spark of life, ensuring that the world would never lack the hands to till the earth. But the journey of the wanderer was far from over. Rig continued his walk, the sun warming his back as he moved deeper into the inland valleys. The scenery began to change. The huts were replaced by sturdy timber houses with smoke rising from stone chimneys. He came upon a house with a closed door, the sound of a loom clicking rhythmically from within. Here lived Afi and Amma, grandfather and grandmother. This was a household of craftsmanship and order. Afi was carving wood, shaping a loom beam with a sharp knife, his beard trimmed and his clothes well made. Amma was spinning, her fingers dancing with the wool that Heimdall had heard growing from his seat in Himinbjörg. Again, the traveler was welcomed. The meal here was better: boiled meat, fresh milk, and bread made from clean flour. Rig sat with them, talking of the seasons and the crafts, sharing the quiet wisdom of the middle path. For 3 nights he slept between them, and again the divine influence took root. Amma gave birth to a son named Karl. He was a boy with red hair and glowing eyes, a child of vitality and spirit. Karl grew to be the archetypal free man. He learned to break the oxen to the yoke, to forge the iron into plows, and to build the great halls of the countryside. He married a woman named Snor, the daughter-in-law, and they birthed the class of the bondir, the free farmers and craftsmen. Their children were named Hau the man, Dreng the brave, and Thane the freeman. These were the people who formed the backbone of Norse society. They were the warriors who defended their own land, the sailors who navigated the fjords, and the lawmakers who gathered at the Thing. Heimdall, through Karl, had created the balance of the world. He had given humanity the gift of agency and the pride of ownership. The children of Karl were the bridge between the labor of the earth and the wisdom of the sky. They were the keepers of the tradition, the ones who sang the songs of the gods while they hammered the iron. But the highest ambition of the white god was yet to be realized. Rig walked on, his path leading him toward a magnificent estate, a place of silk and silver, surrounded by high walls and guarded by swift horses. This was the hall of Fathir and Mothir, father and mother. Inside, the atmosphere was one of refined luxury and quiet power. Fathir was stringing a bow, his fingers practiced and elegant. Mothir was looking at her arms, admiring the silk of her sleeves and the intricate gold of her jewelry. They did not work with the plow or the loom. They worked with the mind, the weapon, and the spirit. The hospitality here was grand. The table was covered with a cloth of white linen, and the food was served in vessels of silver and gold. There was wine, thin and potent, and meat of the finest quality. Rig ate and drank, his golden teeth catching the light of the expensive candles. For 3 nights, he slept between the noble couple, and when he left, the highest seed had been planted. Mothir gave birth to a son named Jarl. He was blond, his hair like the silk of the harvest, and his eyes were as piercing as those of a young hawk. Jarl did not spend his time in the fields or the smithy. He spent his time in the forest, hunting with the bow and the spear. He learned to ride the horse, to swim the deep rivers, and to wield the sword. But Jarl was more than just a warrior. He was a seeker of knowledge. It is at this point in the Rigsthula that the god Rig does something he did not do for the other classes. he returned. He stepped out of the shadows of the forest to meet the young Jarl. He identified himself as the boy's father, and he shared with him the greatest secret of the gods, the runes. He taught Jarl the magic of the staves, the power to heal the sick, to dull the blades of enemies, and to calm the storms of the sea. He gave him his own name, Rig, passing on the title of divine authority. This is the most critical moment in the myth of the father of humanity. By teaching the runes to the noble class, Heimdall was establishing that leadership is not merely a matter of strength or wealth, but a matter of wisdom and connection to the divine. The Jarls were to be the keepers of the sacred knowledge, the ones who understood the hidden patterns of the universe. They were the poets and the kings, the ones who could speak to the gods on behalf of the people. Jarl married Erna, the lively one, and they produced sons who were the epitome of nobility. The youngest of these was named Konr the Young, Konr Ungur. In a brilliant piece of linguistic mythology, the Norse people saw the name Konr Ungur as the origin of the word konungur, or king. Konr was even wiser than his father. He understood the language of the birds, he could quench the fires of the earth, and he could soothe the sorrows of the mind. He challenged the elder Rig in wisdom, and won. This suggests a progression of humanity, that through the guidance of the white god, the children of men would eventually rise to a level of consciousness that rivaled the gods themselves. We are not just creatures of clay. We are the greater and lesser sons of Heimdall, a phrase used by the prophetess in the Voluspa to address the entire human race. The Rigsthula is more than a social commentary. It is an atmospheric map of the Norse world. It takes us from the salt-sprayed huts of the coast to the golden halls of the interior. It shows us the god Rig as a quiet, observant presence, a man who knows when to eat the husk bread and when to drink the fine wine. He is the divine traveler who weaves the three strands of society together into a single, functional whole. He understands that a world of only kings would starve, and a world of only laborers would have no songs. He is the god of the Vorder, the guardian of the social order, as much as the celestial gate. As we look at the children of Heimdall, we see the diversity of the human spirit. We see the endurance of Thrall, the ingenuity of Karl, and the wisdom of Jarl. We see that every person, no matter their station, carries a spark of the white god within them. We are his legacy. When we till the soil, we are doing the work of his firstborn. When we build our homes, we are following the path of his second. And when we seek the truth, when we study the stars or the ancient texts, we are reaching for the runes he gave to his third. He is the father who walked the earth, so that his children would know their place in the stars. The journey of Rig also highlights the accessibility of Heimdall. Unlike Odin, who often demands a terrifying price for his wisdom, or Thor, who is often distant in his battles, Heimdall came to our houses. He sat at our tables. He slept in our beds. He is the god of the domestic threshold as much as the divine one. He is the guest who brings the future with him. To the ancient Norse, every stranger who knocked on the door could be Rig in disguise, testing the hospitality and the character of the household. This belief fostered a culture of profound respect for the traveler, for you never knew if you were serving a meal to the father of your race. The description of the meals in the Rigsthula is a sensory masterpiece. You can taste the grit in Ai's bread, the savor of Afi's boiled meat, and the sharpness of Fathir's wine. You can feel the change in the atmosphere, the move from the desperate struggle for survival to the comfortable stability of the middle class, and finally to the aesthetic beauty of the nobility. Rig moves through these spaces with a quiet, godlike ease. He is the constant in the changing landscape. He is the light that illuminates the dark hut and the golden hall alike. He is the white god, and he sees the value in every life he touches. We must also consider the genetic implication of this myth. By fathering these three classes, Heimdall is literally the ancestor of all humanity. We are not just created by the gods, we are related to them. This creates a sense of divine responsibility. If we are the sons of Heimdall, then we are also the guardians of the world. We carry his watch in our blood. This is why the Norse people were so obsessed with honor and reputation. They were not just acting for themselves, but for the lineage of the god who had walked the earth to find them. The transition from Rig back to Heimdall is a return to the mountain. After teaching the runes to Jarl and watching the rise of Connor the Young, the traveler disappeared back into the mists of the horizon. He returned to Himinbjörg, to the mead and the bridge and the eternal watch, but he left behind a world that was now ordered and filled with purpose. He had turned a collection of wandering humans into a civilization. He had given them the structure to survive the winters and the wisdom to understand the dawns. He had become the father of Midgard. Imagine the white god now, sitting in his hall at the top of the sky, looking down at the valleys he once walked. He hears the children of Thrall singing as they harvest the grain. He hears the children of Karl hammering the iron in their smithies. He hears the children of Jarl reciting the runes by the fire. He hears the heartbeat of his entire family. He is no longer just a solitary sentinel. He is the patriarch of a world. His watch is no longer just for the safety of the gods, but for the preservation of his children. Every time a new child is born in Midgard, a part of Heimdall's mothers, the waves, whispers a welcome. This role as the father of humanity adds a layer of tenderness to his character that is often overlooked. He is not just a cold, analytical observer. He is a father who has invested himself in the clay of the earth. When the end comes, when the shadows finally reach the gates of Asgard, he will not just be fighting for a kingdom. He will be fighting for his progeny. He will be fighting for the people he shared bread with in the huts of Ai and Afi. He will be fighting for the wisdom he whispered into the ear of Jarl. His vigil is a vigil of love. The Rikstula ends with the rise of the kingly line, but the influence of the god remains. In the ancient laws of the North, the social classes were seen as a divine gift, a way to ensure that every task necessary for survival was honored. The farmer was as essential as the king, and the laborer was the foundation of them, Hem. Heimdall's journey as Rig taught the world that order is a reflection of the divine mind. By walking the earth, he brought the sky to the soil. Let the image of the dusty, booted traveler linger in your mind. See the gray cloak, the steady eyes, and the golden teeth hidden behind a kind smile. He is walking the long road of Midgard, his staff clicking against the stones. He is entering your house, sitting at your table, and listening to your stories. He is Rig, the wanderer, the father, the white god in disguise. He has given you your strength, your craft, and your wisdom. And as he returns to his watch on the sky mountain, he carries the memory of your hearth with him. You are the children of Heimdall, and you are never truly alone. the sentinel is watching, and the Father is near. The road is long, and the world is wide, but the connection between the sky and the earth is unbroken. The rainbow bridge is the path of the gods, but the roads of Midgard are the paths of the Father. Rig has walked them all. He has seen the darkness of the hut and the light of the hall. He has tasted the husk and the wine. He has shaped the history of men, from the spray of the waves and the dust of the ground. He is the architect of our souls, and his watch continues, forever and always, from the summit of the heavens to the heart of the home. The atmosphere of the world is now rich with the presence of humanity. The valleys are filled with smoke and song. The sentinel hears it all. He hears the progress of his children. He hears the evolution of the runes. He hears the growth of the spirit. He is the guardian of our potential, the watcher of our journey. And as the sun sets over the valleys of Midgard, and the fires are lit in the hearths of Ai, Afi, and Fathir, the white god smiles. His work on the earth is done, but his watch at the gate is eternal. The sons of Heimdall are awake, and the Father is at peace. The silence of Himinbjörg is absolute, yet it is a silence filled with the resonance of objects that wait. In the high halls of the Sky Mountain, where the air is thin and the light of the stars is unmediated by the mist of Midgard, the white god does not stand alone. He is surrounded by the instruments of his office, relics of a power so ancient and profound that their names alone were enough to make the giants tremble in their frozen halls. To understand Heimdall, we must look past the sentinel himself and examine the tools he carries. For in the Norse world, a god is often defined by his treasures. These are not merely weapons or ornaments. They are extensions of his divine essence, physical manifestations of the boundary he guards. They are the keys to the gate, the warnings of the end, and the echoes of the dawn. We begin with the most famous of all his possessions, an object whose voice is the final word in the history of the cosmos, Gjallarhorn. The name itself, meaning the yelling horn, or the resounding horn, evokes a sound that is not merely heard, but felt in the very marrow of the bone. In the quietude of Himinbjörg, the horn rests against the white wall, its surface shimmering with a pale celestial light. It is often depicted as a massive, curved horn of a primeval beast, perhaps one that grazed the fields of the young world before the gods had even named the stars. But its physical form is secondary to the metaphysical weight it carries. Gjallarhorn is the ultimate alarm. It is the breath of a god held in suspension, waiting for the single moment in time when it must be released. The mystery of Gjallarhorn is deepened by its connection to the roots of the world. In the Voluspa, the prophetess whispers that the hearing, or the horn, of Heimdall is hidden beneath the sacred tree, Yggdrasil, in the depths of Mimir's well. This is a profound and difficult image to unpack. Mimir's well is the source of all wisdom, the place where Odin sacrificed an eye to see the patterns of the Norns. That Heimdall's horn, his voice, his warning, is kept in the same waters suggests a deep symmetry between the two gods. Odin sacrificed his sight to know the future. Heimdall sacrificed his horn to announce it. The horn is submerged in the waters of memory and wisdom, soaking in the truth of the world's end, so that when it finally speaks, it speaks with the authority of the Absolute. When Heimdall lifts Gjallarhorn to his lips, he is not just making a sound. He is shattering the silence of the ages. The myths tell us that the sound of the horn can be heard in all 9 worlds. It penetrates the deepest caverns of Svartalfheim, echoes across the frozen plains of Niflheim, and rattles the golden shields of Valhalla. It is a sound that transcends distance and matter. It is the sound of reality being called to order. To hear Gjallarhorn is to know that the time of shadows is over, and the time of the final reckoning has begun. It is the sound of the sentinel's ultimate report. In the quiet hours of his vigil, Heimdall must often look at the horn and feel the terrible weight of its silence. He is the only one who knows exactly how that silence will end. But the white god is not always a static figure on a mountain peak. There are times when he must move, when the duty of the watch requires him to travel across the celestial vault with the speed of a falling star. For this, he has Gulltoppr, the gold-topped horse. In the list of horses of the Aesir found in the Grimnismal, Gulltoppr is mentioned with a reverence that suggests he is no ordinary steed. Imagine a horse whose mane is not made of hair, but of strands of spun sunlight. His hooves do not strike the ground. They strike the clouds with the sound of distant, pleasant thunder. When Heimdall rides Gulltoppr across the Bifrost, the bridge vibrates with a harmonic resonance, the light of the rainbow reflecting off the horse's golden coat in a dazzling display of solar brilliance. Gulltoppr is the steed of the dawn, just as Heimdall is the white god of the morning light. His horse is the animal manifestation of the sun's rising. He is the promise of movement, the energy that carries the sentinel to wherever the boundary is most threatened. While Sleipnir, Odin's 8-legged horse, is a creature of the mist and the journey between life and death, Gulltoppr is a creature of the high day and the clarity of the heavens. He is the mount of the guardian. When the gods ride out together to judgment at the well of Urd, Heimdall on Gulltoppr leads the way, a beacon of golden light that guides the other deities through the shifting mists of the world tree. The horse is the physical extension of Heimdall's solar nature, the speed of thought translated into the power of the beast. Then there is the weapon. Every sentinel must be armed, and Heimdall carries a sword that is as enigmatic as his own origins. Its name is Hofund, which translates quite disturbingly to head or human head. This is one of the most puzzling kennings in all of Norse literature. Why would a god of light and order name his blade after a severed part of his own children? Scholars have debated this for centuries. Some suggest it refers to a head as the seat of consciousness, that the sword is an extension of the god's mind, a weapon of pure awareness. Others point to a more visceral connection. In the Skaldskaparmal, it is mentioned that the head can be a kenning for a sword because Heimdall was once struck by a man's head, or because his sword is as sharp as the intellect. But let us look deeper into the atmosphere of the name. Hofund is the head of man, because Heimdall is the father of humanity. The sword represents the lethal responsibility he holds over his progeny. It is a blade that judges as much as it cuts. In the hand of the white god, Hofund is not a weapon of chaotic slaughter, but a surgical instrument of divine justice. It is made of the same bleached celestial iron as the walls of Himinbjörg. When it is drawn, it does not flash with the red heat of Thor's hammer. It glows with the cold, blue light of a star. It is the sword of the boundary. It is the final barrier for anyone who would try to force their way past the sentinel. To be struck by Hofund is to be struck by the focused clarity of the universe. It is a death of absolute truth. The symbols of Heimdall are all interconnected by the theme of light and clarity. We must return to his golden teeth, Gulltoppr. While we touched upon them in the beginning, we must now see them as a treasure of the spirit. Gold, in the Norse mind, was the fire of the sea, or the sun of the waves. By having golden teeth, Heimdall's very speech is a solar event. When he opens his mouth to speak, he illuminates the darkness. His words are not hidden or deceptive. They are as clear as the metal they pass through. This is in direct contrast to Loki, whose mouth is often associated with scars, lies, and the shifting shadows of the hearth fire. Heimdall's gold is the gold of the high sun, unyielding, pure, and revealing. We must also consider the subtle treasures, the things he carries that have no names but immense significance. His cloak, white as the glacier, is the symbol of his invisibility and his presence. He is the bleached god, and his garment is the color of the void and the light combined. It allows him to blend into the mists of the sky mountain, to be the eye that sees without being seen. He is the ghost in the machine of the divine security system. His ears, which can hear the grass grow, are his greatest natural treasure. They are the instruments through which he monitors the heartbeat of the world. He carries the sound of the universe within him, a treasure of information that no other god can possess. The mead of Himinbjörg is another sacred substance. It is not the intoxicant of the common warrior, nor the poetic inspiration of Odin. It is the mead of clarity. When Heimdall drinks, his senses do not dull, they sharpen. The liquid is a distillation of the celestial dew that falls from the leaves of Yggdrasil. It is the water of the sky, turned into a fuel for the sentinel's consciousness. It is the clear drink that allows him to remain awake for centuries, to process the infinite noise of the 9 worlds without losing his mind. In the quiet hall of the Sky Mountain, the mead flows in a steady silver stream, a treasure of endurance for the man who never sleeps. The relationship between these treasures and the sun is paramount. Heimdall is often seen as a solar deity, or at least a god who operates in the same frequency as the sun. Gulltoppr is the sun's energy. Gulltoppr is the sun's speech. Gjallarhorn is the sun's warning. Even his clutch, Hofund, can be seen as the sun's ray, the sword of the sky that cuts through the darkness of the night. Heimdall is the personification of the dawn, the moment when the first light touches the world and the shadows are forced to flee. His treasures are the tools he uses to maintain that dawn, to ensure that the light always has a defender. Imagine the atmosphere in the hall of Himinbjörg when all these treasures are gathered. The Gjallarhorn leaning against the pillar, the Hofund resting in its sheath of white leather, the Gulltoppr waiting in a stable of clouds just outside. The air is humming with latent power. Each object is a note in a celestial symphony, and Heimdall is the conductor. He moves among them with a quiet, practiced ease. He knows the weight of the horn, the balance of the sword, the spirit of the horse. He is the master of the divine arsenal. These are the things that allow him to stand against the giants, to face the trickster, and to watch the horizon without fear. The Gjallarhorn, in particular, has a psychological presence that we must dwell upon. In the modern world, we have sirens and alarms that pierce the air, but they are mechanical, soulless things. Gjallarhorn is a living sound. It is a scream of cosmic proportions. When it is finally blown, it is not just a warning. It is a catalyst. It is the sound that triggers the unraveling of the world. Heimdall carries the end of the world in his hand. Every time he touches the horn, he is touching the fate of his father, his brothers, and his children. This is the ultimate treasure, and the ultimate burden. It is the gift of the waves, seasoned by the waters of Mimir, waiting for the breath of the sentinel. And what of the head? The sword Hofund. If we look at it through the lens of the sentinel's duty, the name becomes less grotesque and more profound. The head is the watcher. The head is the seat of the senses, the eyes that see, the ears that hear. By naming his sword head, Heimdall is saying that his weapon is his awareness. He does not kill with rage, he kills with perception. He strikes where he sees the flaw. He cuts where he hears the dissonance. His sword is an extension of his vigil. It is the head that stays awake while the body of the world sleeps. It is the sharp edge of the god's consciousness turned outward against the dark. The golden teeth, Gulltoppr, also suggest a connection to the prehistoric worship of the sun. In many ancient cultures, the sun was seen as the mouth of the heavens, the source of the word that created the world. Heimdall, with his golden speech, is a remnant of this archaic tradition. He is the god who speaks the world into safety every morning. His teeth are the rays of the sun, biting into the night, clearing the way for the day. He is the solar guardian, the one who ensures that the cosmic fire is never extinguished by the frost. As we look at these treasures, we see a god who is fully equipped for the impossible. He has the speed of Gulltoppr to reach the threat, the vision and hearing of his own body to detect it, the sword Hofund to resolve it, and the Gjallarhorn to announce its magnitude. He is a self-contained system of security. He is the fortress, the soldier, and the alarm. But these treasures also emphasize his isolation. No one else can ride Gulltoppr. No one else can blow Gjallarhorn. No one else can wield Hofund. They are tuned to the frequency of the sun of 9 waves. They are the symbols of a solitude that is as vast as the sky he guards. The sky mountain, Himinbjörg, is the place where these treasures live. It is the sanctuary of the sentinel's power. When we look up at the clouds and see a sudden flash of light, or hear a distant, inexplicable rumble, the ancient Norse would say that Heimdall is practicing. He is checking the weight of his sword. He is brushing the golden mane of his horse. He has whispered a test note into the mouth of his horn. He is maintaining the tools of the order. He is ensuring that when the moment comes, and he hears its approach in the growing of every blade of grass, he will not be found wanting. The treasures of Heimdall are the insurance of the universe. They are the tangible proof that the gods have prepared for the shadow. They are the artifacts of a vigilance that never wavers. As the white god sits in his hall, surrounded by the silver light of the stars and the golden glow of his own possessions, he is the picture of readiness. He is the sentinel, the watcher, and the keeper of the dawn. His treasures are the light that he will one day use to fight the dark. And as the night deepens over Midgard, and the people sleep in the safety of their homes, the golden teeth of Heimdall gleam in the silence of the sky mountain, a promise that the morning is never far away. In the next chapter of our saga, we must see these treasures in action. We must see how the sentinel uses his awareness and his weapons to face the most cunning of all enemies. For there is one in Asgard who hates the light, one who thrives in the shadows between the words. We must speak of the rivalry between the white god and the trickster. We must speak of the theft of the Brisingamen and the battle of the seals. We must see what happens when the absolute clarity of Heimdall meets the absolute chaos of Loki. But for now, let the sound of the Gjallarhorn sleep in your ears, and the image of the golden horse gallop through your dreams. The sentinel is armed, and the watch is secure. The treasures are the anchors of his divinity. They ground him in the celestial reality of his office. Gjallarhorn is his voice. Gulltoppr is his movement. Hofund is his action. Together, they form the trinity of the guardian's power. Heimdall stands among them, a figure of bleached perfection, his golden teeth a silent testament to the sun he serves. He is the white god, and he is ready. The horizon is clear for now. The grass is growing, the sheep are being fleeced, and the world is breathing. Heimdall hears it all, and he waits, his hand resting lightly on the hilt of the sword that is his mind. The sentinel is at his post, and his treasures are bright. The peace of Asgard is a delicate thing, a golden equilibrium maintained by the strength of the gods and the vigilance of the Watcher. But within the walls of the divine sanctuary, there has always been a dissonance, a note that does not harmonize with the celestial music of the Aesir. This dissonance has a name, and it is Loki. If Heimdall is the white god, the brilliance of the dawn, then Loki is the flickering shadow of the hearth fire, unpredictable, shifting, and capable of both warmth and destruction. Between these two, there exists a rivalry that is not merely personal, but ontological. It is the friction between the absolute necessity of the boundary and the absolute desire to break it. To understand Heimdall, one must understand the man he was born to loathe. The prose Edda, in the section known as Skaldskaparmal, gives Heimdall a title that defines his social and mythic position. He is called the enemy of Loki. This is not a casual label. It is a fundamental part of his identity. In the halls of the gods, where many are charmed by Loki's wit or cowed by his cunning, Heimdall remains the one who is never deceived. His golden teeth do not smile at the trickster's jokes, and his clear eyes see through every mask. While Odin may use Loki for his cleverness and Thor for his utility, Heimdall sees only the rot that Loki brings to the edges of the world. They are the two ends of a single spectrum, the sentinel who keeps things in their place, and the thief who wants them moved. The most famous confrontation between these two centers around one of the most beautiful and potent objects in the Norse cosmos, the Brisingamen. This necklace, forged by 4 brilliant dwarves and owned by the goddess Freya, was a symbol of divine allure, fertility, and the very light of the morning. It was a treasure that Freya had purchased with the sacrifice of her own dignity, and it was a source of immense pride for the Aesir. But for Loki, the necklace was an irresistible target, not for its value, but for the chaos its loss would cause. In a moment of silent treachery, while Freya slept in her hall of Sessrumnir, Loki slipped past the guards and stole the golden treasure. He did not steal it for gold. He stole it to prove that nothing was safe, that even the most cherished objects could vanish into the night. He intended to hide the necklace, to keep it as a trophy of his own cunning. But Loki had forgotten one thing. The Watcher never sleeps. From his high seat in Himinbjörg, Heimdall had been watching. Even amidst the infinite sounds of the 9 worlds, he heard the soft click of the necklace being unclasped. Even in the darkness of the goddess's bedchamber, he saw the glint of the gold in the trickster's hand. Before Loki had even left the perimeter of Asgard, the white god was moving. Heimdall did not shout. He did not sound the Gjallarhorn. This was a hunt that required silence and precision. He pursued Loki across the fields of the sky and down to the shores of the great ocean. Loki, realizing he was being followed by the one god who could not be shaken, sought refuge in the environment he knew best, the shifting, unstable world of the sea. He transformed himself into a seal, thinking that in the vast gray expanse of the water, he would become invisible. He sought out a remote skerry, a lonely rock rising out of the foam known as Singastein, or the Singing Stone. But the sentinel was not to be outdone. Heimdall, the son of 9 waves, was more at home in the ocean than Loki could ever be. Drawing upon the elemental power of his mothers, Heimdall also transformed. He shed his white cloak and his golden teeth, shifting his divine essence into the form of a great, sleek seal. This is the Battle of Singastein, a mythic encounter recorded in the Gulltoppr, a skaldic poem that describes mythological scenes carved onto the panels of a great hall. Imagine the atmosphere of this confrontation. 2 gods, stripped of their humanoid forms, battling in the churning surf of a remote ocean rock. The sea is black and violent, the waves crashing against the stone with the force of hammers. The air is thick with salt and spray. The 2 seals circle each other, their movements a blur of silver and gray. This was not a battle of swords or hammers, but of teeth, weight, and instinct. Loki, the sly god, used every trick of the tide to escape, but Heimdall was the tide itself. He anticipated every turn, every dive, every feint. They fought for a long time, their bodies colliding with the rhythmic thuds of 2 powerful animals. It was a contest of endurance and purity. Loki's chaos was a flickering, frantic thing, while Heimdall's vigilance was a steady, crushing weight. Eventually, the white god prevailed. He pinned the trickster against the sharp barnacles of the Singastein, forcing him to release the golden necklace. Heimdall took the Brisingamen in his jaws and returned it to Asgard, restoring the light of Freya and the honor of the gods. This incident solidified the enmity between them. It was the moment Loki realized that Heimdall was his ultimate foil. You cannot trick the man who hears the wool growing on the sheep. You cannot hide from the man who sees for 100 leagues. From that day on, their interactions in the halls of the Aesir were poisoned by a cold, mutual contempt. We see this most clearly in the Lokasenna, the poem of Loki's flyting, or insult contest. When Loki crashes the feast of the gods at Aegir's hall, he systematically insults every deity present, digging into their secrets and their failures. When it is Heimdall's turn to speak, he attempts to reason with the drunk and malicious trickster. "You are drunk, Loki," the sentinel says, "and you have lost your wits. Why do you not stop, Loki? For drunkenness leads every man to speak what is better left unsaid. It is a measured, stoic response, the voice of the orderly mind trying to calm the chaotic one. But Loki has no desire for peace. He turns his venomous tongue on the white god with a specific, biting insult. "Be silent, Heimdall," Loki sneers. "For you, a hateful life was decreed in the days of old. With a muddy back you must always be, and serve as watchman of the gods. This insult is profound in its cruelty. Loki is mocking the very nature of Heimdall's existence. He is calling his vigilance a hateful life, a form of eternal slavery. To Loki, the idea of staying in one place, of being tied to a post, is the ultimate nightmare. He sees Heimdall's duty not as a noble sacrifice, but as a pathetic lack of freedom. The muddy back refers to the fact that the sentinel must stand in the rain, the sleet, and the dirt, exposed to the elements, while the others feast and revel inside. Loki is trying to make Heimdall feel small, to make his divine office look like the drudgery of a common servant. But Heimdall does not flinch. He knows that his muddy back is the only thing keeping the Hall of the Gods from collapsing into the void. He understands that Loki's freedom is just a fancy name for destruction. Their exchange in the Lokasenna is the verbal precursor to their final meeting. It defines the stakes of their relationship. It is a battle for the meaning of life itself. Is life meant to be ordered, guarded, and purposeful, as Heimdall believes? Or is it meant to be a chaotic, selfish game of masks and mirrors, as Loki believes? The rivalry also has a deeper, more esoteric dimension. In some interpretations, Heimdall is associated with the world pillar, the axis of the cosmos, while Loki is the fire that seeks to burn that pillar down. Heimdall is the holly, the stone, and Loki is the lopt, the air or the flame. They are the two forces that keep the universe in tension. Without Loki's chaos, the order of Heimdall would become static and dead. Without Heimdall's order, Loki's chaos would consume everything in an instant. They are the predator and the prey, the lock and the pick, forever bound by their opposition. Their paths cross again and again in the shadows of the myths. Whenever Loki attempts to lead a giant into Asgard or steal a divine treasure, it is the golden-toothed god who stands in his way. Heimdall is the one who suggested the trick to retrieve Thor's hammer, the idea of Thor dressing as a bride. It was a plan that used Loki's own medicine against him, a rare moment where the sentinel played the game of masks to achieve an orderly end. Loki had to serve as the handmaiden to Thor's bride, a humiliation that surely added to his resentment of the white god. But as the ages pass and the world begins to cool, the rivalry turns from a series of contests into a countdown. The enemy of Loki knows that the trickster is not just a nuisance, but a catalyst for the end. Heimdall hears the chains of the Fenris wolf beginning to fray. He hears the Midgard serpent stirring in the depths, and he knows that Loki is the one whispering to them in the dark. The sentinel's watch becomes more focused, his mead in Himinbjörg tasting more and more like the brine of his birth. He is watching for the moment Loki finally drops the mask of a god and takes up the mantle of the destroyer. There is a sense of tragic inevitability in their relationship. The myths tell us with absolute certainty that they are destined to kill each other. In the final battle of Ragnarök, amidst the fire and the blood of the plain of Vigrid, they will find each other. It will not be a battle of seals this time, but a battle of their true, terrible forms. The white god and the trickster will meet in a final, lethal embrace, their blood mixing in the dust of the old world. They are the beginning and the end of the struggle for order. Imagine the atmosphere in Asgard during the long years before the end. The tension between Heimdall and Loki would have been palpable, a static charge in the air of the divine city. Every time they passed each other on the Rainbow Bridge, or sat across from each other at a banquet, the world would have felt a little more fragile. The other gods must have looked at them and seen the timeline of their own destruction. Heimdall, the silent wall; Loki, the creeping crack. They are the tragedy of the Aesir. But we must also see the necessity of this conflict. The sentinel is only a sentinel because there is something to watch for. The light is only meaningful because there is a shadow. Heimdall's brilliance is amplified by Loki's darkness. Their rivalry is the engine that drives the Norse narrative toward its epic conclusion. It is the friction that creates the heat of the story. Without the enemy of Loki, Heimdall would be a passive observer. Because of Loki, he is a warrior of the spirit, a god who must fight to maintain the clarity he represents. The Battle of Singestein remains the perfect microcosm of their struggle. The Singing Stone is the stable point in the middle of the shifting sea. Heimdall's victory there was a temporary triumph of the stone over the wave, of the sentinel over the thief. But the sea always returns. The waves always crash again. Loki will return, again and again, in new shapes and with new lies, until the day the Gjallarhorn finally sounds. And Heimdall will be there, every time, his golden teeth bared, his iron gloves ready. Let the image of the two seals on the lonely rock linger in your mind. See the silver flash of their bodies in the moonlight. Feel the spray of the cold North Atlantic on your face. This is the eternal struggle of the world. It is the part of you that wants to build, and the part of you that wants to tear down. It is the watcher and the wanderer. Heimdall and Loki are the two sides of the human heart, forever wrestling on the Singestein, and the white god is winning, for now. He has the necklace, he has the watch, he has the dawn. As the sentinel returns to Himinbjörg, the Brisingamen glowing on his chest, he looks back at the ocean. He knows that Loki is still out there, changing his shape, planning his next move. He hears the trickster's laughter and the whistling of the wind. But Heimdall is not afraid. He is the son of 9 waves, and he knows how to weather a storm. He will sit in his hall, drink his mead, and listen to the grass grow. He will watch the bridge, and he will wait. The sentinel is at his post, and the trickster is held at bay. The watch continues, and the world is safe under the gaze of the white god. The rivalry is the heart of the sentinel's story. It is what gives his vigil its urgency and its edge. He is not just watching for giants. He is watching for the rot within. He is the immune system of the gods, and Loki is the infection he was born to fight. Every morning that the sun rises and the Bifrost holds, Heimdall has won a small victory over his enemy. Every day that the order is maintained, the white god has proven his worth. The battle goes on, silent and invisible, in every corner of the 9 realms, and the watcher never, ever blinks. The records of the North are not contained in a single book, but are scattered like the leaves of the world tree across a landscape of shifting oral traditions and fragmented manuscripts. To understand Heimdall as he was truly seen by the ancient poets, we must look beyond the vivid imagery of the Rainbow Bridge and the golden teeth. We must enter the library of the spirit, where the white god is recorded in the verses of the Völuspá, the Grimnismal, and the intricate explanations of Snorri Sturluson's Skaldska Parmal. Here, in the dense, rhythmic language of the Skalds, Heimdall ceases to be a mere character and becomes a riddle of existence. He is a god of many names and even more hidden meanings. He is the focus of an ancient and profound wisdom that connects the highest heaven to the deepest roots of the earth. Let us return to the most haunting image in the lore of the Watcher, the presence of his hearing, or perhaps his horn, within the well of Mimir. In the 27th stanza of the Voluspa, the prophetess speaks of a huljod, a word that translates as hearing, sound, or even horn. She says, "I know where the hearing of Heimdall is hidden, under the holy sky-high tree." This is a mirror to Odin's own sacrifice. While the All-Father gave his eye to the well to gain a vision of the infinite, Heimdall placed his hearing within the same dark waters. Think of the atmosphere of that sacred well, tucked beneath the massive, sprawling roots of Yggdrasil. The water is cold, dark, and filled with the memory of everything that has ever been. In these depths, the sentinel's ability to perceive the world is steeped in the wisdom of the ages. This connection between Heimdall and Mimir's well suggests that his vigilance is not just a physical trait, but a spiritual one. He does not just hear the grass grow because his ears are biologically superior. He hears it because his perception is rooted in the very source of cosmic knowledge. By placing his hearing in the well, he is connected to the nervous system of the universe. He hears the world from the inside out. When we speak of his horn being hidden there, we are seeing the horn as the vehicle for that hearing. The Gjallarhorn is the physical manifestation of the sound he gathers from the roots of the tree. It is the vessel that holds the resonance of the well until the day it must be released. This makes Heimdall a partner to Odin in the management of fate. One sees the pattern, the other listens to the pulse. The relationship between the sentinel and the well of Mimir also highlights his role as a god of memory. In the ancient world, hearing was the primary sense of learning and preservation. Songs were heard, laws were heard, and stories were heard. By being the god of hearing, Heimdall is the guardian of the tradition. He is the one who remembers the old ways, the old names, and the old oaths. In the quiet hall of Himinbjörg, he is not just watching for giants. He is preserving the frequency of the divine order. He ensures that the songs of the Aesir are not drowned out by the chaotic noise of the void. He is the cosmic ear, attuned to the harmony of the spheres. But the most challenging riddle of the sentinel is found in the Skaldska Parmal, where Snorri Sturluson records the kennings for Heimdall. Among titles like Seeker of Freyja's Necklace and The White God, we find the term man's head. Snorri explains that a sword can be called Heimdall's head, and conversely, the head can be called Heimdall's sword. This is a linguistic knot that has puzzled scholars for over 1,000 years. To understand it, we must step into the ancient mindset where the head was seen as the seat of the soul, the commander of the body, and the fortress of the senses. If Heimdall is the head, he is the consciousness of the gods. Just as the head sits at the top of the body and guides the limbs, Heimdall sits at the top of the sky and guides the security of the realms. He is the head of the celestial body. But why is his sword called head? Perhaps it is because his weapon is his perception. He does not need a massive, swinging blade of iron to defeat his enemies. He needs only the sharp, cutting edge of his awareness. To be struck by Heimdall's head is to be judged by his mind. It is a weapon of the spirit. There is an ancient, lost myth mentioned by Snorri, where Heimdall was said to have been struck by a man's head, a story that might have provided the literal origin for the kenning, but its deeper meaning remains in the realm of the watcher's unparalleled intellect. This head kenning also links him back to his role in the Restful. If he is the father of humanity, he is the head of the human race. We are his body, and he is our guiding mind. The sword Hofund, the human head, is the symbol of the lethal bond between the creator and the creature. It is the blade that separates the truth from the lie, the wheat from the chaff. When we speak of Heimdall as the head, we are acknowledging that he is the highest function of the divine order, the function of pure, unadulterated awareness. He is the part of the universe that stays awake and remembers its own name. The ancient texts also provide us with other names for the sentinel, each carrying its own atmospheric weight. He is called Halinskidi, a name associated with the bent stone, or perhaps the ram. The ram is a creature of the heights, a stubborn, resilient animal that stands its ground on the edge of the precipice. This links Heimdall to the sacrificial animal of the sun, the beast that leads the flock through the mountains. He is also called Vindler, the wind shelter, or the sea curer. This brings us back to his 9 mothers, the waves. As Vindler, he is the one who calms the storms, the one who provides a sanctuary against the chaotic winds of the void. He is the stillness at the center of the gale. These names are not just synonyms, they are facets of a diamond. Halinskidi is his earthy, rugged endurance. Vindler is his elemental, calming power. Gulltoppr is his solar brilliance, and Heimdall is his structural role as the world wall. To the ancient Norse, to speak any of these names was to invoke a specific quality of the guardian. When the sailors were caught in a storm, they would call upon Vindler. When the kings needed wisdom to judge their people, they would think of the head. When the morning broke over the fjords, they would see the flash of Gulltoppr. He was a god who permeated the daily life of the North, hidden in the language and the landscape. We must also consider his place in the poetic structure of the Eddas. Heimdall is often the one who provides the critical pivot in a story. In the Thrymskvida, when the gods are panicking over the theft of Thor's hammer, it is the white god who speaks up with the most brilliant and humiliating plan. The text says he was the whitest of the Aesir, and could see into the future like the other Vanir. This is a significant detail. The Vanir are the older, more earth-bound gods of fertility and foresight. By associating Heimdall with them, the poets are suggesting that his wisdom is of a more ancient, intuitive kind. He does not calculate like Odin. He knows because he is part of the flow. His plan to dress Thor as a bride was not just a joke. It was a ritual inversion. It was a way to use the giants' own lust and confusion against them. It showed that Heimdall, for all his stoicism, possessed a sharp, tactical mind. He understood the psychology of his enemies. He knew that the giants, for all their strength, were easily blinded by their desires. By suggesting the mask of the bride, Heimdall proved that he could play the game of illusions better than anyone, even if he preferred the clarity of the truth. This tactical wisdom is another treasure he carries in his head. The relationship between Heimdall and the runes is another thread we must follow. While Odin is the discoverer of the runes, Heimdall is the teacher of them. In the Restful, He is the one who brings the magical staves to Jarl. This suggests that Heimdall is the bridge between the raw power of the runes and their practical application in human society. He is the educator. He is the one who ensures that the wisdom of the gods is translated into a language that men can use to heal, to protect, and to rule. He is the mediator of the sacred alphabet. This role as the teacher of runes further cements his connection to the head. He is the source of the intellectual and spiritual technology of the North. Imagine the atmosphere in the halls where these poems were recited. The fire would be burning in the center of the longhouse, the smoke curling around the rafters. The skald would stand in the shadows, his voice rising and falling with the meter of the verse. When he spoke the names of Heimdall, the people would look at the door. They would feel the presence of the watcher outside in the night. They would understand that the world was structured, that there were names for the wind and the sea, and that those names were held in the mind of the white god. The poetry was not just entertainment. It was the vocalization of the divine security system. It was the way the people reminded themselves that the sentinel was awake. In the Grimnismal, Odin, disguised as the prisoner Agnar, lists the homes of the gods. When he reaches Himinbjörg, he says, "There, the white god drinks the good mead in his hall and rules over the world mountain." This image of Heimdall drinking mead is recurring. It is not the drunken revelry of a feast, but a solitary, ritualistic consumption. The mead is his fuel. It is the liquid clarity of the heavens. It represents the constant nourishment of his senses. To drink the mead of Himinbjörg is to participate in the vigilance of the universe. It is a communion with the light. As we dwell on these ancient records, we see a god who is the ultimate generalist of the divine realm. He is a warrior, a father, a teacher, a judge, and a sentinel. He is the head because he is the point of convergence for all these roles. He is the consciousness that holds the 9 worlds in its gaze. His solitude in Himinbjörg is not a lack of companionship, but a necessity of his focus. He cannot be distracted by the dramas of the other gods, because he is the one who allows those dramas to unfold in safety. He is the frame of the house, the silent structure that supports the noise of the family. The head, kenning, also reminds us of the fragility of the mind. The head is the most vulnerable part of the body, yet it is the most essential. By being the head, Heimdall is acknowledging that the order of the gods is a fragile thing. It depends on his constant, unblinking awareness. If the sentinel falls, the body of the universe dies. This is the existential tension of his life. He carries the survival of the cosmos in his cranium. His golden teeth and his white skin are the outward signs of a mind that is operating at the absolute limit of divine capacity. In the shadows of the Skaldskaparmal, there is a hint that Heimdall's story was once much larger than the fragments we have today. There are mentions of lost poems and forgotten deeds, but even in the fragments, his presence is massive. He is the god who stands at the beginning and the end. He is the one who gave us the runes and the one who will blow the horn. He is the white god, the head, and the father. He is the mystery of the boundary, recorded in the ink of the monks and the breath of the skalds. As we look at these texts, we must feel the age of the wisdom they contain. These are not stories made for children. They are maps for the soul. They tell us that the universe is not a chaotic accident, but an ordered structure that requires a defender. They tell us that our own consciousness is a spark of the sentinel's light. when we seek clarity, when we try to see the truth behind the illusion, we are invoking the head. We are speaking the language of Heimdall. The atmosphere of the ancient North was one of constant vigilance. The sea was dangerous, the mountains were unforgiving, and the winter was long. In this world, Heimdall was the most relevant of gods. He was the one who was always there, always watching, always listening. He was the reassurance that the silence was not empty. When the people recited the Voluspa or the Rigstula, they were confirming their relationship with the Watcher. They were acknowledging their place as his children. They were putting their trust in the head. Let the mystery of the Hofund, Kulich, and the head kenning settle in your mind. See the sword as a beam of pure perception, the head as a fortress of golden light. Hear the sound of the mead being poured in the silence of Himinbjörg. You are touching the edge of the ancient wisdom. You are understanding the white god as he was understood by the poets who lived in the shadow of the world tree. He is the sentinel, the watcher, and the keeper of the memory. And his mind is as vast as the sky he guards. The wisdom of the well is flowing through him. The hearing he placed in the depths is returning to him as a symphony of the universe. He knows the names of the stars and the secrets of the worms. He knows the fate of the gods and the path of the men. He is the head, and he is waiting. The watch continues, and the world is held in the clarity of his gaze. The dawn is coming, and he will be the first to speak its name. The night is long, and he will be the one to guard its silence. Heimdall is awake, and the ancient texts are his witness. This exploration of the texts brings us to the final threshold. We have seen the birth, the vigil, the journey among men, and the treasures of the office. We have solved the riddles of the skalds and listened to the whispers of the well. Now, we must face the darkness that the sentinel has spent his entire life watching for. We must prepare for the final sound of the Gjallarhorn. We must follow Heimdall down from the sky mountain to the plain of Vigridr. We must witness the end of the watch. But for now, stay here in the library of the spirit, where the names of the god still glow like embers in the dark. The white god is near, and his wisdom is yours to keep. The watch is nearly at an end. For eons, the white god has stood at the summit of the heavens, his eyes fixed on the shifting mists of the horizon, his ears tuned to the microscopic sounds of the universe. He has seen the rise and fall of kings, the birth of stars, and the slow, grinding movement of the glaciers. But now, the wind is changing. It is no longer the salt spray of his 9 mothers, or the celestial breeze of the sky mountain. It is a wind that smells of iron, of ancient frost, and of the approaching void. The twilight of the gods, Ragnarök, is no longer a distant prophecy held in the waters of Mimir's well. It is here, pressing against the boundaries of Asgard like a rising tide of darkness. Heimdall, the sentinel who never blinks, sees the first cracks in the foundation of reality. He feels the rainbow bridge beneath his feet begin to tremble, not with the pleasant hum of the gods' chariots, but with the weight of an oncoming storm. The first sign is the winter, the Fimbul winter. It is not a season, but an erasure. 3 winters will follow one another with no summer in between. A relentless, bone-chilling cold that leaches the color from the world and the hope from the hearts of men. In Midgard, the children of Heimdall turn against one another. The social order he established as the wanderer Rig begins to dissolve. Brother strikes down brother, and the bonds of kinship are severed by the cold. Heimdall hears it all. He hears the screams in the valleys, the breaking of oaths, and the silence of the starving. He hears the world tree, Yggdrasil, groaning under the weight of the encroaching frost. The clarity he represents is being swallowed by the gray fog of chaos. The head of the gods feels the pressure of the universe's impending collapse. From his vantage point at Himinbjörg, Heimdall sees the sun and the moon being swallowed by the wolves of the void. The light that gave his teeth their gold and his skin its brilliance is fading. The 9 worlds are plunged into a thick, suffocating gloom. In the darkness, the enemies of the Aesir begin to move. He sees the ship Naglfar, made of the nails of the dead, slipping its moorings. He hears the Midgard serpent, Jormungandr, churning the ocean into a toxic froth as it rises to meet its destiny. And most significantly, he hears the snapping of the iron chains in the underworld. Loki, the trickster, the ancient rival, is free. The shadow is no longer lurking, it is marching. Heimdall reaches for the Gjallarhorn. This is the moment for which his entire existence was designed. He lifts the great curved horn to his lips, his golden teeth catching the last flickering light of the dying stars. He takes a breath that contains the strength of the earth, the moisture of the sea, and the heat of the sacrificial blood that nourished him at his birth. And then he blows. The sound that erupts from the horn is not a melody. It is a cataclysm. It is the yelling horn, a sound so loud, so pure, and so terrifying that it shatters the silence of the 9 worlds. It echoes through the halls of Valhalla, waking the Einherjar from their eternal feast. It vibrates through the roots of the world tree, startling the Norns at their loom. It reaches the ears of Odin in his high seat and Thor in his chariot. The sound of Gjallarhorn is the announcement that the watch is over and the war has begun. It is the signal for the gods to arm themselves, for the bridge to be crossed for the last time, and for the final reckoning to commence. Heimdall does not lower the horn until the sound has permeated every corner of the cosmos. He stands at the head of the Bifrost, his white cloak fluttering in the freezing wind, watching the sons of Muspel, the fire giants, as they ride across the rainbow. Beneath their burning weight, the bridge of light finally breaks. The path between the worlds is severed. The sentinel is no longer guarding a gate. He is standing on the edge of a ruin. The gods march to the plain of Vigridr, a battlefield that stretches 100 leagues in every direction. Heimdall rides Gulltoppr, his golden-maned horse, at the front of the divine host. He is the white god, a beacon of unyielding order in the center of the chaotic storm. The atmosphere on Vigridr is one of absolute desperation and supreme glory. The air is filled with the smoke of a burning world and the cries of the monsters. Odin faces the wolf, Thor faces the serpent, and Freyr faces the fire giant Surtur. But Heimdall's gaze is fixed on a different target. He is looking for the shadow that has haunted his watch since the beginning of time. He is looking for Loki. They find each other amidst the carnage, the sentinel and the trickster, the stone and the flame, the watcher and the thief. This is the final encounter, the culmination of the rivalry that began at the Singestein. There are no more masks, no more seals, no more clever insults. Loki comes at him with the fury of 1,000 betrayals, his eyes burning with the desire to see the order of the gods reduced to ash. Heimdall meets him with the cold, focused clarity of the boundary. He draws Hofund, the sword that is his mind, the human head that judges the spirit. The duel between Heimdall and Loki is the most significant symbolic battle of Ragnarök. It is the struggle between the part of the universe that wants to be seen and the part that wants to be hidden. They fight with a ferocity that ignores the world burning around them. Loki strikes with the jagged edge of chaos, shifting and darting like a flickering flame. Heimdall stands like the mountain, his white zur reflecting the fire of the battlefield, his movements precise and inevitable. They are perfectly matched, for they are the two sides of the same coin. The watcher cannot exist without the one who sneaks, and the thief cannot exist without the one who guards. In the end, the prophecy of the Völuspá is fulfilled with brutal symmetry. They kill each other. Heimdall's blade finds the heart of the trickster, ending the long career of lies and shadows. But as Loki falls, he delivers a final, lethal blow to the sentinel. The white god, the son of 9 waves, the father of humanity, collapses onto the blood-stained earth of Vigridr. His watch is finally, truly over. As the life fades from his eyes, the world around him is consumed by the fire of Surtr. The sky mountain of Himinbjörg is toppled. The golden halls are melted, and the sea rises to swallow the land. The silence returns, but it is the silence of the void, the silence of the end. But the story of Heimdall does not end in the ash, because he was the father of humanity, because he was the one who gave us the runes and the structure of our souls. His legacy survives the fire. The myths tell us that the earth will rise again, green and fair, from the depths of the ocean. The sun will have a daughter, even more beautiful than herself. And in the hidden sanctuary of Hodmimir's Holt, 2 humans, Leif and Leifthresir, life and leaping with life, will emerge to repopulate the world. They are the children of the social order Heimdall created. They carry the spark of his light within them. The new world will be ruled by the sons of the old gods, Vidar and Vali, Magni and Modi. They will find the golden gaming pieces of their fathers in the long grass of the new plains. And while Heimdall himself may be gone, his influence is the very foundation of this new reality. The new world is a world of clarity, a world where the shadows of Loki no longer have a place to hide. The sentinel's sacrifice was the price for a world that no longer needs a sentinel. He stood at the gate so that one day the gate could be opened forever. As we look back on the complete path of the White God, we see a figure of immense strength and quiet dignity. He was the God who required no sleep so that we could dream in safety. He was the God who heard the grass grow so that we could live in harmony with the earth. He was the God who walked among us as Rig, shaping our history and giving us our wisdom. He was the guardian of the dawn and the announcer of the end. He was the most selfless of the Aesir, a being whose entire identity was defined by his service to others. In the modern world, where the noise of the machine often drowns out the sounds of the spirit, we need the energy of Heimdall more than ever. We need to remember how to listen, not just to the loud and the demanding, but to the grass growing and the wool stretching. We need to remember the value of the boundary, the importance of knowing where we stand and what we guard. We are the lesser sons of Heimdall, and we carry the responsibility of his watch. We are the keepers of the clarity in a world of confusion. Imagine the silence of the new world. It is a peaceful silence, a silence of growth and renewal. The sea is calm, the 9 mothers now whispering songs of welcome to the new generation. The sky mountain is a memory, but the sky itself is clear and bright. The golden teeth of the sentinel are no longer needed to illuminate the dark, for the dark has been mastered. But if you listen closely, in the quiet moments of the dawn, you can still hear the echo of the Gjallarhorn. It is no longer a warning of destruction, but a call to awareness. It is the heartbeat of the universe, the reminder that the Watcher is always with us, in the blood and the bone and the spirit. Heimdall was the first to see the end, but he was also the one who ensured there would be a beginning. He was the bridge between the elements and the divine, between the ancient waves and the future kings. He was the white god, the light bringer, the father. And though he fell on the field of Vigridr, his light remains in every eye that seeks the truth and every ear that listens for the harmony of the world. The watch continues, not at the gate of Asgard, but in the heart of humanity. Thank you for walking this long and winding path with me, from the salt-sprayed shores of the 9 mothers to the final fire of the twilight. We have journeyed through the high halls of the Sky Mountain, walked the dusty roads of Midgard, and stood at the edge of the final battle. We have seen the brilliance of the sentinel and the darkness of his enemy. We have explored the deep wisdom of the runes and the riddles of the ancient poets. If you found peace in the presence of the white god, and if this deep dive into the life of Heimdall has aroused your curiosity for the mysteries of the North, please leave a like and subscribe to Hearths of Myths. Your support allows us to keep the fires burning and the stories alive. May your vision be clear, may your hearing be sharp, and may you always find the strength to stand your ground at the threshold of your own life. May the light of the white god guide you through the long winters and into the new dawns. Sleep well, for the sentinel is awake, and the world is safe under his eternal gaze.